The question says, if angle theta is 130 degree, evaluate cos theta. It seems so simple, but then I want you to know the process through which we are going to solve this. You are given this question to solve in 40 seconds. Then I'm not going to explain so much about trigonometry in this just short video, but we have a full-blown video on trigonometry. Subscribe to our channel so that once it comes out before your exams, you can have a watch of it. And I want you to make sure that you get our ebooks, because all these topics are discussed in-depthly alongside with jam-pass questions and answer. Now let's go to solving this question. Now if you want to solve this question, there is what we call the use of trigonometry, the trigonometry ratio of angles that has to do with the quadrants. If you are familiar with solving trigonometry, we have what we call the 4 quadrants. The 4 quadrants, in those days when I was in secondary school, we use an acronym to remember them. We call this CAST, or we call it acts when you go this way, and when you go this way it becomes what? Cast. And what is this for? This tells you the value and the sign and angle we take when he finds itself in any of these quadrants. And what does this mean? It means if you find any angle within this point, this is the quadrant. The quadrant will see cos will be positive. If it is around here, that means all of them, both sine, cos and cosine, will be positive. If the angle is here, that means it's only sine that is positive. And if the angle is here, that means it's only tan that is positive. And you start counting your 0. This place remains at 0 degree. And you start counting anti-clockwise. So that means at 0 degree, if I'm giving angle 30, this place will be where my angle 30 will be found. If I'm giving angle 45, it will all be found here. This place will be 90 degree, and this place will be 180 degree. This place will be 90. This place will give us 180, and this place will have between 180 and then 360, 270. And this point will have our 270 to 360 degree angles. Now, if we look at this question, this angle falls on this edge. So we are going to look at how we will break this very well. If that angle falls at that edge, let's draw something like this so that it can be explained further. Remember, I'm not going to spend much time on this because we'll have a full-blown video on trigonometry. Now, if I take this to be the angle, and remember, we'll start from here. This place will be my what? My angle theta. And this place, because that place is my angle theta, from here to here is 90. Here is what? 180. I'm going to have this angle to be 180 minus what? Minus theta. That is this angle. Now remember, if I take this value, this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis. On this way, my x will be negative. Let me show you how we'll derive this. And on this angle, my y will be positive. Here, I'll have here as my positive 1 because it's the hypotenuse. So if I draw this down, this place will give me my positive what? Y. Now, I want to show you why we say our sign here will be positive. Now, remember our SOHCAHTOA. Let me take you to this. You remember our SOHCAHTOA. That's the formula used in solving angles, triangles. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over what? Over adjacent. Now let's just take that of sine, for example. Now if we are given a sign of a value, our sign in that equation will now be what? Our sine of what? Sine of 180 minus theta will be our sine of theta. Let's assume we are having a sine of theta. We are given an angle like this. Sine of this angle will be equal to, this angle will be equal to opposite over what? Opposite over adjacent, because adjacent opposite over hypotenuse. This is the opposite of this angle, and this is the adjacent, while this remains the hypotenuse, the longest side of the angle. So that value of sine will give us opposite, which is our plus y, over what? Hypotenuse, which is our plus 1. And that will give us what? That will give us a y. Now, if we want to look at that for cos of that same angle, 180 minus theta. Sorry, this angle should be 180 minus theta. So sine of that same angle, 180 minus theta, will give us adjacent over hypotenuse, that is minus x divided by hypotenuse plus 1. Minus y, minus x plus 1 will give us minus what? X. Now you see, the sign for cos here is what? Negative, because the angle falls in this quadrant, which is the second quadrant. Now if you do that same thing for tan, I'm not supposed to go far to this explanation, but I want you to know what I will be doing as I solve this question. If you go to tan is opposite over adjacent. Now this is the opposite of our angle. Tan is opposite over adjacent. This is the opposite, which is plus y over what? Minus what? X. Plus divided by minus will give us a minus, because minus sign is very powerful. It overpowers a positive sign. So that will give us a negative value. So you see now tan is also negative on this second what? On this second quadrant. All this may be sounding so well to you, but all I want you to do is subscribe to our channel and look forward to having a full-blown video on trigonometry. You're going to get it more. I'm going to explain this further in that aspect. Now let's go solving our question for today. Now remember, we are given this value. We are told that our theta is equal to 135 degree. Now if our cos theta, in solving this question, we can look at our cos 135 to be equal to, following this quadrant, is going to give us minus cos 180 minus what? Theta. Remember, because the cos of this value will give us a negative sign. Now that will give us, because this cos, this angle falls in the second quadrant as explained. So our cos 135 degree now will now be equal to minus cos what? 180 minus 135 degree. Now our cos of 135 degree will now be equal to minus cos what? 180 minus 135 will give us cos what? 45 what? Degree. Now you see, we'll break it down to cos 45 degree. Now there is something we call a trigonometric triangle, which is used for solving special angles. Now we have the special angle for angle 45 degree. This is 90. This will give us 45 degree. I want you to have this angle at your fingertips so that you can use it anytime. We will know how. I'll show you how to derive it in our full-blown video, and this will be what? Root 2. Now for here, we are going to look at the value that cos 45 will give us. Cos 45, remember in our SOHCAHTOA, it means car, which is adjacent over what? Hypotenuse. So our cos 135 degree will now be equal to minus what? Opposite. This is opposite of this 45 degree, that is 1. So the adjacent is 1 over the what? Hypotenuse. That will give us 1 over what? Root what? 2. So our cos 135 degree will be 1 minus 1 over root 2. But that is not a solution. Why? Because the denominator of this value is a sword, and it can't stand as our denominator. So all we need to do is to rationalize the sword. You are going to see a video on sword coming out before the end of this week. Now this will give us minus 1 over what? 2. Rationalizing this value, rationalizing the sword value will entails making the denominator, which is sword, which is irrational, become what? Rational. And then we'll make this value we'll multiply. Rationalizing a surd requires multiplying this surd value with the denominator and the numerator and the denominator. You're going to see how we'll do it now. Now let me show you how to go about that. Now when we have our 1 over root 2, we want to rationalize. That will be equal to multiplying the numerator by what? By root 2, and also multiplying the denominator by what? By root 2. And when you do that, that will give us root what? Root 2 divided by root 2 times root 2. In the laws of surd, root 2 times root 2 will give you the value of that root 2. Remember, we have our negative sign here. We haven't thrown it away. So our solution, our cos what? 135 now will now be equal to minus root what? 2 over what? 2. Now you see why it is very important that you should know what you are doing when you are solving a question in JAMB. JAMB will make things so tricky for you that you choose the wrong answer thinking is the right answer. You are going to see root 2 over 2 in your option, and you're going to see minus root 2 over 2 in your option. Many persons will take this and to be wrong, but the right answer is what? This. Now you see how simple these questions will be if you know principles guiding you as you solve mathematics. These are one of those questions we gave you yesterday on our past post of the day series, our various past questions. And I want you to look at the solutions to this question and see how you can familiarize yourself in solving questions like this. And look forward to seeing a video, full-blown video on trigonometry. To get that notified when that comes out, hit the subscription button. I look forward to seeing you yesterday. If you have not subscribed to our channel, tomorrow, if you have not subscribed to our channel, hit the subscription button, and don't forget to hit the notification button so that you can get a daily notification of our videos as we churn them out every day. I remain Andy, your anchor on this channel, and I look forward to seeing you in our next